Hey folks, Jim Thomas here, Fitness Management and Consulting. I appreciate you being here at the channel today. And for you folks that have not yet done so, please hit that subscribe button. We appreciate it. And if you find the information beneficial, please hit the like button. And then also check out the links below on some additional ways that we can help you grow and develop your business. Now, our topic for you today, it's 6 ways that you can become more coachable. 6 ways you can become more coachable. And I know when I do a lot of training classes, I talk a lot about 3 things that we cannot train. And, I talk about attitude and I talk about work ethic, but I also talk about being coachable. And I want to give you 6 tips and 6 things you can look at to become more coachable. But one of the big things kind of leading into this, I would say, is that you have to be willing to step outside your comfort zone. You're going to have to be willing to be uncomfortable here, okay? And maybe some of these tips I'm going to give you will cause some of that, but in the big picture, be willing to be uncomfortable. It's one of the best things you can do to stay coachable, because unless you're continually learning, unless you're continually getting better, there's no other option but to go backwards. So with that said, let's jump into this. And so number 1, be willing to learn from others that have more experience. Seek out other people that have more experience and be willing to learn from them. I know when I owned my gyms, I spent a lot of time on the phones, calling up owners, building relationships, and where they would invite me out, I'd come out and visit them, and I'd try to learn, hey, how are you doing this? What are you doing to get more sales? What are you doing to keep that retention level so high? What are you doing to make sure your staff is so well trained and you don't have that big turnover in staff? So be willing to learn from people with experience, but also be willing to seek them out. Okay. Number 2, be respectful of your coach or instructor. Okay, and you might have someone that's giving you some guidance, some direction, and maybe you're not on board, but choose to be respectful of this person. Okay, you're not trying to push away, because all it takes is one little thing, okay, that you can pick up from that person that can make all the difference in how you do things. I know I've talked to a lot of folks over the years, particularly when I was growing up in the business and learning this. I talked to folks that, man, I'm glad I don't work with them all the time. Man, I bet they are tough. But, I picked up one little thing, because I maintained respect, and I kept talking to them. I was always courteous, to them, okay? Because they did have more knowledge than me, and they were having success at it. Just because it may have not fit me, in my opinion, didn't mean that I couldn't learn something from them. I want to be able to learn something from every single person I talk to, okay? Number 3, be ready to check your ego at the door. Okay, this one can be really big. I know just in terms of salespeople, I know when we're interviewing salespeople, and we talk about, how do they do things and what are they used to, and we'll talk to them about, hey, here's what our process is, and it's almost like they'll kind of hold up that stop sign and say, oh, that's not how I do it. Okay, check your ego at the door. We're going to have to follow, processes of the company we're working for, perhaps. But just know that you can learn something from everybody. Okay, and that one little thing can make all the difference in the future that you have in the gym business, and maybe even something else. I have folks all the time that come up to me that I worked with numerous times years ago. And they'll say, well, Jim, hey, all that training you did with me, first of all, thank you for all that. It really made a difference. But as I look back on it, these are their words, as I look back on it, it really wasn't sales training. It was kind of life training. And I've been able to use it in so many different things that I do. So check your ego at the door. We can always learn something from everybody, that we're talking to. Okay. Be willing to learn and be willing to absorb what your coach is telling you. Absorb it, listen to them, take it, but then practice it. Okay, go practice it. None of this stuff is just, in most cases, just going to roll out and work. I remember, first starting in sales and not being very good at it. And I was told to memorize this book that was about that thick, maybe. And part of my challenge was giving that membership price presentation, because it was just very uncomfortable for me. But I just didn't say, okay, well, here's what the book says. I'm going to go out and do it. Okay, I practiced this over and over and over. I mean, I couldn't even begin to think how many times I gave that presentation every single day in front of a mirror with a recorder going, okay, to make sure I got it down. So make sure when I was in front of that customer, I could give it right. So absorb this information, take it in, but then practice it. You're going to have to practice it. You know, there's no teacher, no coach out there that's just going to be able to, hey, hand you something, you take it and you go do it. In most cases, you're going to have to practice this. And one of the things that I tell folks all the time is we don't want you practicing on the paying customer, right? Okay, you know, we don't make sure we're ready, you know, for that paying customer. So practice, you know, what they're giving you. Next on our list, number 5, be willing to accept criticism. You know, someone says, well, hey, you know, you don't have this quite right here. Be willing to accept that because, you know, it's part of it. And I would even take this even a step further for you. If you're not getting some kind of criticism at some level, you're probably not doing enough. You're probably not asking enough questions. You may not even be asking the right questions. You may not be, you know, pushing hard enough, you know, into the marketplace because you're going to get some pushback. You're going to get some evaluation. Some folks are going to love your style. Some folks aren't. But be willing to accept criticism. And one of the things I would suggest for you is if you do get it, and you probably will, you know, give some consideration. Hey, are they right? You know, are they right in what they're saying? Okay. If they are, make the change. They just did you a big favor. You know, they just gave you a raise. So, but be willing to accept it. Just know it's part of it. I wouldn't call it a good or bad thing. It's just part of it. Be willing to accept it. And then finally, number 6, be gracious and humble. Okay, you're going to have some great success stories. You know, you start to do this. Be gracious and humble along the way. And I can give an example that I experienced, you know, and I've given this one before. You know, some of you that have followed me consistently over the years have heard this. But when I first started off in sales, I was just really, really bad at it. And fortunately, you know, I got some guidance and some direction. I followed it and I practiced it. And before you knew it, you know, I became very, very good at this. And, you know, I never really saw myself as, oh man, I'm great at sales. I'm thinking, well, hey, I'm just doing what that book told me to do. And wow, I'm getting some really great results. And it naturally kind of made me humble, I think, just because that's the way I thought. I'm just reading the book and hey, I'm just doing it. Man, I got to be the luckiest guy in the world. But interestingly enough, is other salespeople, you know, they would come to me, hey Jim, can I work with you? Can we work together on some projects? Because there was not, you know, there was not that ego wasn't coming through. It was all gracious. It was all being humble. It's like, hey, we're just going to follow the process. We're going to have a great attitude, and we're going to get results. And you know, we did. And I would have people, hey Jim, I've got a referral for you. I want you to, you know, take this person through for me. So, you know, stay gracious, stay humble. You know, it's much more fun to be at the top. But when you get there at the top, you know, let's do the same thing for others that, you know, maybe is being done for you, and let's help them succeed. Let's help them get better at this because it can be a great feeling for you. And the truth is, the more you train, the more you teach, you know, the better you're going to get at this yourself. And you can help other people, you know, become more coachable and become better at this. So take a look at this and even ask yourself, hey, am I as coachable as I can be? And I'll wrap this up. I'll say one thing here for you. You know, I get inquiries a lot. Okay, talk to a lot of folks. People call me up. They want help. You know, sales aren't where they're at. Their business is not performing. There's trouble on the horizon. But they spend the entire conversation telling me why nothing's going to work. You know, you got to be ready to make a change. You got to be coachable. You got to be willing to step out of your comfort zone. Really take a good hard look at yourself. Be your own critic here. Okay, say, hey, am I really coachable on this? Am I ready to make a change? Am I ready to step out of that comfort zone? If you are, great things can happen. All right. So, folks, I appreciate you being here at the channel today. Again, my name's Jim Thomas. My company's Fitness Management and Consulting. You can check us out at fmconsulting.net. And I appreciate you being here today. Hope you all have a great day, and we'll talk to you soon.